In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and manage quotes. There are three ways we can create a new quote. We can click on the quick link at the top of the screen and just select the Create a Quote option. The second way is to go into the Customer module on the left-hand side of the screen, and within the Customer record at the top, you have the option to create a quote. The third way is to click into the Quotes module on the left-hand side of the screen, and you will see there is a Create button at the top of the page. Before you start creating quotes, there may be some things you want to change within the Settings menu. To do this, just click on the Settings tab on the left-hand side of the screen and scroll down to the menu option for Quote Settings. Once in here, you can control how the software manages your quotes. Firstly, you can change the name of the quote module to suit your business. Some people may refer to these as jobs or sales orders, so you can just change the name on here. If you change the name, it will actually change the name of the module on the left-hand side. For today, we're going to leave these as quotes. We can replace the due date dates in here. So I've got valid for 30 days. I might want to change that to 7 days, 14 days. So you can change that information that's going to appear on the quote. We also have a quote reference, so we can change the name of that field. It can copy the information across from here directly onto a purchase invoice if you win the business. You can also select here to actually remove the total figure on the quote and just have an individual breakdown. You can just click this box and it will give you the option to do so on every quote created. You can then select a category to change the quote to if you convert it to a sales invoice. So I want my software to convert it to closed won if I actually win this business. We can also choose whether we want to copy the quote reference onto the purchase order field on an invoice once we've won it. We can copy that to a comment line below the description on the invoice, or its default as don't copy it onto the invoice at all. I want to link my quote to my invoice, so I'm just going to copy it to the purchase order reference field. We've also got an option here to automatically delete quotes once they have been won. So if you want to keep track of quotes that you're winning and losing, for instance, if you're losing them, then you might want to know why, so you can improve that area of your sales cycle. Just make sure you untick the box here. And what that will do, it will keep that quote within the system and it will not delete it whether you've won it or lost it. So once I've done that, I just need to save the settings and all of that has now been done. So I'm going to click into the Quotes module on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll see that there are two buttons at the top of the page. One says Create and the other is Categories. If I click on the categories, we can see that there are already some set up within the software. We can use these to select the status of the quotes once we've generated them, and as you can see, we can enter new ones as and when we need to. So I might want to add maybe closed. So I'm going to set one up as closed, lost on price. And then I can choose the marker that I want to appear on that. I'm just going to have a red flag. And then I can save that within the system. So if I lose a quote and I lose it on price, I can instantly do a report and it will show me exactly what I've lost it. I might have lost it to a competitor or for any other reasons. And then I can change the other various categories as and when I need to. So you can customize those quote categories to suit your business. Once you're happy with the categories, you can then start creating quotes just by clicking the Create button at the top of the screen. Once on the quote page, it will pre-populate with the quote number. You can override this if you wish to and change that to fit with any numbering system you have within your business. There's also the option to enter a reference number onto the quote, and again this will copy across to the sales invoice if we win the business, so I can reference the two transactions together. We can then choose the customer from the drop-down list. So all of my 3 customers are listed, so I can choose who this quote's for. Alternatively, you can hit the plus icon on the right-hand side of the screen, and you can quickly enter just either the name, or you can enter all of those details there and quickly create a new customer record so you can generate the quote. On the right hand side, I can select the date for the quote. So we're going to use today's date. We can then select the category. Again, you can see the category I entered has now been listed in here. And we're just going to say this is just a draft quote for now. And then we can choose, if we're running multi-currency, the currency that we want to generate this quote in. To add information onto the quote, all we do is just click the Add Line Item button on the left-hand side of the screen. So I have my sale of goods. If I was doing stock and I have a product list, I could choose that product list from this drop-down box here. You can then continue to type into the description field exactly what you want to appear on this invoice. So I'm just going to put work carried out. For now, you can put as much detail as you want in this description field, and there's no limit to how many characters you can type within here. So if you have a lot of bespoke quotes, it's not a problem. You can add as much information as we need to. You can then either enter the rate. So if I enter, say, £500, that's my daily rate. It will automatically add in my 20% VAT if I'm VAT registered, and it will add the total in there. If I only know the total figure, I can just type that into the total field and it will calculate the net for me, and it will calculate the net rate. If you are not VAT registered, then these two boxes won't appear. You will just need to put the total figure on the quote itself. If you want to add in more information onto the quote, you can add as much information as you want by adding additional lines, and you can add in various comments and description lines onto the quote itself. Once you're happy with the details on the quote, just hit the Save button on the top right hand side of the screen. Once the quote has been saved, there are a few options on this screen. Firstly, we have the option to edit. Let's say we're negotiating this quote with a client and I'm doing a bit of discount. I can just click edit, and then I can just add and amend any information I want to, and then just hit save, and we'll see now that quote has now been amended. If you do a lot of repeat work, you can see you have the option to copy. So if I press the copy button, I can then copy that either to a new invoice, or you could copy that to a new quote, and it will just replicate all of the details on that quote. And I can just say it was for a different customer there. We can change the reference and then save that up. Okay, so that quote has now been created in the system as well. We also have the option to print an email. We can either do that from the top of the screen, or if you scroll down, we have print an email. If I hit print, it will just print that quote off to a PDF, and all of that information is now there. We can also hit the email button, and that will pull through the customer's email address, and I can customize what this email says, and it will just attach that quote as a PDF document. Very, very simple. We will now see, if we click into the quotes module on the left hand side of the screen, I can see that the quote's listed, and we can click through to the customer record. So if I just click on John Smith and go to the invoices and stats screen, we can now see that quote is listed next to the customer's record as well as on the quote screen. And we can see the references, the categories of the quotes, when they were generated, and the value of those all on this screen. They will also display on your dashboard. So if you go through to your main dashboard, we can see here a summary of quotes. I can see what I've won, what I've got sitting in draft, any negotiation, and any sent from here as well. If the customer decides to go ahead with the quote, all you need to do is go back to the quotes module, click into the quote, and you'll see there is an option at the top of the page to convert to an invoice. If I convert this to an invoice, it'll ask me if I'm sure I want to convert it. I can just click OK, and we can now see that quote is converted to invoice number 5. And we can see that that quote reference field has copied onto the sales invoice. If we now go back through to the customer screen and go back through to John Smith, we'll now see that quote and the invoice are both listed on his customer record. So as you can see, it is a very simple process to set up and manage quotes within the software, but if you need any assistance at all, please contact us on info@perfectoaccounts.co.uk.